DPS.
Jupiter got to get their cut. One map per team.
And it is a cut that makes God bleed, as we say. So.
Unless you're Xavier, in which case you didn't go over a map for some
Yeah.
reason.
All right, well, Jupiter rolling out once again, DPSs. Talon, same thing. Bashful is in now over Raputo.
And Jupiter triple DPS, in fact. It's double sniper plus the pharmacy as well. Talon are running similar-ish kind of thing where, okay, Patapan, Bashful does mean if you want to go Widow via yourself, you can. You can also keep playing the Sombra that Patapan's doing.
It's an early DMAC onto Gogora, and I was going to say this triple DPS is how Jupiter have had success so far. It's a nice counter trade, though, far more impactful than just losing the mech. But now Bashful goes down. Gogora's still pressured as well. It's not looking too likely that Gogora survives long enough to get in the mech. Rez has to come in on Bashful. Now I'm going to eat my words, because with Hengi down, Gogora's lived long enough now to nearly be in this mech, but no such luck. Jupiter's still in this in a big way.
Players got to be careful. So is Sabergod. Both those supports, if either one of those goes down, that would be very difficult for Jupiter to stay in this fight. And that's not a res anymore.
Yeah, Patapan able to get that EMP in at the same time. Mango Jai has got himself a nano boost to commit. So Talon kind of had to hold on for a hero there, and they managed to get a couple of ultimates up. It was starting to feel like Jupiter could really push them over the edge.
Decent secure there by Muse as well, just to make sure that the primal range was going to get some value. Combo that with a nano boost as well, just to slow down Jupiter a bit more, who will definitely stay on this comp for now as the ultimates start to come online. And this is where it gets difficult for Talon, because they don't quite have anything to match. Yes, you have the Rocket Barrage, but guess what? Anakin will have one too.
Mohororo is going to be rolling in with a Dragon Strike, though. It's not exactly easy to disrupt Talon's positioning with it. They're not too static, but you can still really hamper them if they're forced into a certain line. And Hengi, 3 shots onto Bashful will do it.
It will be a res, but the only res available. 6 ultimates just about for Jupiter. Infrasight obviously just used previously. Here it is, one of them.
And that's a second kill as well onto Bashful. Jupiter look like they've managed to just kind of brute force their way in, and as we say, there was no res after that initial one had to be committed, and CQB died as well just for good measure. DMAC there on Gogora. This is all the cleanup as they kept the points.
And I think this is where Jupiter have suddenly found their niche. They found the meta that works for them, and we talked about, okay, the course of the last 2 seasons, the first half of this one, where they couldn't find something that really works for them composition-wise. But guess what? Widow Farah is absolutely perfect for Anakin and Hengi. They're getting so much value here. A's capped up 4 minutes for B and C onwards as well. Jupiter still have momentum behind their backs. Let's see what Talon can do now that they finally have ultimates.
Jupiter still just looking to keep the momentum going. They do come into a nice narrow street where that Dragon Strike can help them out. Also, Patapan taking some pressure, so they've got to take their time here. They've committed a nano boost onto Bashful, though. Talon are really looking to make something happen. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but certainly a good 1-for-1, given that Claire is the casualty. But now they find another one back, and suddenly Talon, until the res comes in from CQB, have no DPSs, and Muse is still getting pressured out as well.
And they needed that EMP. Patapan just keeps being pressured out. Now is finally alive, but there are still just trades happening. Gogora, Muse are gone. Muse comes back, but Talon, they need more.
It feels like Talon are just throwing bodies to create time. I mean, it's kind of working.
They got the time now. Yeah, they need the EMP.
Burning the time off the clock. There is the EMP coming in now, and this long-term gambit, it still doesn't end up paying off, because Jupiter, they're still able to get the kills, and that's the thing. It's like Jupiter would throw someone in, Talon would throw someone in, maybe get a kill, but lose the life anyway, and that's close to respawn for Jupiter. Jupiter's still charging up ultimates. It only wastes time.
It feels like a big stack of dominoes falling, or maybe a champagne tower. You're trying to put your hands on there, put the thing back together in time, and you're not going to be able to. It's just insurmountable. Jupiter kept taking more members off Talon. Talon just kept losing those members, waiting for Patapan to come back. As he does that, you've lost your primal rage. Muse is too low to help. You put the EMP in. Patapan dies again. See what happens, though. This B point is nearly over.
Too many holes in the boat to plug, I suppose, or, you know, holes in the dam, trying to stick your fingers in. That would probably break your finger if you ever did that, by the way. But Patapan going in with a nano boost on top of him. First looking for Hengi. And unfortunately, he's not finding a whole lot. Trying to look for Ken Mohororo now, but he's got the Mercy in the pocket, and nothing comes of that nano boost. Zer, in the meantime, died. This is all a little bit all over the place. Jupiter starting to get the better trades once again now in the fight.
I think Jupiter making this quite chaotic for Talon, where they just can't quite focus on a member. They haven't been able to slow this game down. In fact, the game's been speeding up from Jupiter's perspective as they're about to cap B.
The only slowdown has been from just throwing bodies on the card. It's human wave doctrine right now for Talon. And unfortunately, it doesn't pay off in the long term. Jupiter can eventually just get through regardless, and 3 minutes still on the clock to cap out is plenty of time.
Whereas the real slowdown they're looking for is a full 6-on-6 fight where they don't just lose a member right at the start, where they can contest the card as well, stop that momentum from going through, and force a reset against Jupiter, who have just been on a roll since A. Talon now looking for that Dragon Blade, and Kagura has a self-destruct, but that's all they got to work with.
Even when Talon are the ones getting the early pick, Jupiter are paying it back with 2 or more. This is now a 1-for-1, now a 2-for-1 favoring Talon, and then finally looking like they're making some headway, especially with Jupiter backing up big time. They commit a res onto Sabagod, but he's probably just more fodder under the guns of Talon right now. Allows Talon to charge up some ultimates, and they finally force the reset they've been looking for.
And now they can finally set up for their own plays on this defense as well, where they get to initiate, they get to have the better positioning, they get to have the setup, and Jupiter have to push in first. However, moving into C, this is typical Ryan Goats territory, and Talon are not in the right composition just yet. They need to win this fight, use their ultimates, and quickly make a swap.
They do have the nano boost, which they can use to charge up probably Zer's Earth Shatter if they want to make that particular kind of play. It's something we see quite often when the only ultimate you have on a fresh Goat squad is the nano boost.
And it's difficult because Jupiter want to find a pick. They do get it, but it's a 1-for-1 trade so far.
Again, it's a trade that ultimately favors Talon. Good Bionade on Muse, but not really a member they can finish off right now. Jupiter are making a rotation around to this cart now.
And they want to have this positioning on the ground because otherwise they don't want to have this aerial team. Patapan now diving in, Dragon Blade at the ready.
And Muse had slipped by them. He's ready to come in on the collapse, and they end up creating some chaos in the ranks of Jupiter, who committed that nano boost onto Zer, but he didn't get much ultimate charged up. Talon do have to dig deep into a couple of ultimates of their own, but they've got more at their disposal regardless for the next fight. Jupiter still have a bit of time to wait before they're ready.
So it's a big swap up now. Patapan just resetting his own life there to get the respawn. And for Talon, I don't know, they probably look like they want to... No, don't even want to use the minefield. Don't worry about that at all. Jupiter have the ult advantage, so it doesn't get easier for Talon. They just needed to win one fight, then do something to get themselves changed up. Use a sound barrier now. Good news is there's less than 1 minute, so they can stall for a while. They got a sound barrier, and Patapan can do some real damage.
Because they're going to make the trades as well, Jupiter get a bit more possession back on the card. They're able to push it past that earlier spot. They were finding it a bit awkward to get around. Jupiter 2-for-1 so far, and Kenmore Roro are able to preserve the mech with the self-destruct. Sound barrier keeps everyone alive through that, but lacking Muse for the time being is really rough. Mango Jai going down. CQB in some trouble. And like you say, the grab from Hengi connecting onto some remaining members. Now Muse finally comes back up the gate, but there's no one else alive aside from Bashful. Muse goes down. Bashful sure to die soon with the sound barrier out from Claire, meaning he can't even take someone with him. Still a bit of time on the clock there for Jupiter as they cap, and on the whole, that was decent.
And you needed to see one more good fight from Talon if they were going to have any hope of completing a hold onto C, because they were at such a deficit to climb back. They need to kind of hold off the offense, at least go even, charge up a couple of ultimates, and then have a shot, because as it stands here, Jupiter being the first team to swap going into C, despite losing that initial push, they get the ults required, and as soon as Talon do make that swap, which they're forced to do, you see this result. Jupiter, expectedly, on paper, they're supposed to win this fight. They do win this fight. It's rare to see Talon on the back foot, but that's exactly where they were at in terms of the pacing of the game.
Now the question is, what are Talon going to be able to achieve on their offense? They need to cap. They need to cap with a lot of time. And then they're going to need to win a time back. All of those things are still very possible, if not entirely probable, for the side of Talon here. But again, Jupiter have already made this difficult enough for them. Do they make it so difficult that Talon can't even accomplish that here?
We'll see if Talon can really get into Hero 31 to your left. It's off your screen. As we head into this offense, it's actually Jupiter spawning in mind. Maybe Jupiter can get into that one. Amakin back onto the fire. Hengi's on the Sombra this time around, so you don't typically see the Widow defense anyway, so this is pretty typical. Ken Mahororo back on the Hanzo. Talon, are they going to play DPSs? Are they going to play a ground-based comp? They can't play the Ryan because they'll get punished by Amakin on the fire, who's been doing a lot of work so far. And Patapan on the McCree is the next best stopgap, and they're not even going to go for that anymore. They're just going to trust their own pharmacy.
I like this from Jupiter on the whole. Leaning into what works, what has worked at least.
Spy checking for Hengi on the side. CQB still needs to swap here, assuming that they are playing Mercy. There it is.
There you go. Now they look to make the approach. We have started to see Patapan get some work done on this Genji as well, so I do also like this from Talon. The reality is I feel like this is just going to come down to who executes better.
What I think the Genji really brings to the table is there are a lot of decent targets for him to dive onto that are not well protected. Sabagod, Kemahororo, Claire, pretty obvious ones for Patapan to get value on.
It's a nasty sleep.
Like that.
Patapan finds him, there you go. Jupiter already having lost one, and this time they haven't actually managed to make a counter trade. They haven't managed to have that same open space available for Anakin or Ken Mahororo for what it's worth, and without those, I mean, you see how much pressure Ken Mahororo is under there. That's how it all plays out. Sleep on Zer, and like I said, Jupiter, without being able to unlock their DPSs, can't really do much to stop Talon from just slowly rolling over them.
And Anakin down as well means there's not enough aerial pressure with the damage. He gets raised back in, but likely will just die straight away. Instantly eats a sleep dart. Mega punish.
Yeah, Claire as well goes down, and it's just, again, there's no real reason for that res. It doesn't provide you anything. It just gives the enemy 2 more members to kill.
But I think if the res comes in and maybe it's slightly earlier, or he gets res slightly further away, he uses a concussive blast and jumps away and stays safe, and they get an earlier defense. But this is what it looks like when it doesn't work out for Jupiter, who now going to put Kemahororo onto a Hog, Zer onto the Orisa. So hook combo could be pretty big here, especially in shutting down both Muse and Gagora. You still have 4 members that are sitting at 200 HP that Patapan can get a lot of damage and kills on.
That's the reality, unfortunately. You've got the Nano Blade combo, and you see Mango Giant Patapan conspiring there, looking for their opportunity.
EMP will shut him down, though, so Patapan does have to dodge that one out.
Gora taking some chunks, actually. Has to back out. They find Hengi
No
early.
more EMP?
Yep, no more of that. So Nano Boost has gone over onto Anakin. They're going to have to get a lot done with it. And he finds Claire. Patapan finds Sabagod. Now he finds Anakin. And Jupiter just make no headway on the defense. It's not even like what Talon were doing where they threw bodies in the cart to slow it down. The cart has barely stopped.
Have I missed Genji, and this is what it looks like when Genji actually works. There's no Brigida to counter him. Sleep darts out of the table if Sabagod goes down. Hack's gone as well if Hengi's not alive. So all the things you would use to shut down a Nano Blade, not on the table, and Talon clean up. This is pretty decent so far, I say, as Bashful goes down, but there is over 5 minutes to work with.
Bashful is resable, but Muse is in a bit of an awkward spot here, unfortunately. They may just have to wait for this respawn. Muse will at least live. Now he goes aggressive, pops the minefield down, partially to cover his own rotation, but Ken Mahororo has other thoughts about that.
And unfortunately, the mine's not going to do too much work here. Easily ignored by the side of Jupiter, who still are yet to play into the EMP. Saving it now for C after having Hengi go down on B. It's still pretty ideal to have this currently. Talon are not going to find it easy to push in. This is where you do want to see Talon start to make changes towards Orion Goats. However, they have ultimates they want to get value out of first.
Zer takes a nap. He is going to get woken up. Not under too much pressure just yet. Ooh, that's a bigger sleep on the Ken Mahororo. Now the EMP and the self-destruct. Anakin's trying to answer it, but he's down, unfortunately, having not got much value out of that. Now the raise onto Bashful. All's well that ends well here. Patapan ends up being the only casualty on Talon as they start moving in towards C.
You actually see the self-destruct from Gagora split up the defense from Jupiter. Half the team walked forward to dodge it, half the team walked backwards to dodge it, and the team that went backwards, a couple of them went down anyway. They got a kill off the self-destruct if you're Talon, and now they get to walk through onto the rest of C. Still 4 minutes, still 2 ultimates.
And that's the real thing. Hengi's got a lot to answer for. That's going to be the flashbang, but ends up going down. Wow. He missed the flashbang there. Might have got blocked out somehow. Might have been Gagora's hand in that, but at any rate, it's impressive. And Talon absolutely slam dunked that one over the finish line. Style points on the Dragon Blade at the end there for Patapan. And that's what we said Talon needed here. This is still within the winnable kind of realm for Talon.
4 times the difference, and even more so on the side of Talon.
In fact,
that is
very clean numbers, I have to say. I'm impressed.
It is, and this is where it's the welcome back for Talon. You start to get scared for a moment. You're thinking, okay, well, Jupiter is still performing quite admirably on Numbani. They can perhaps finish this one, go to the time bank. Jupiter would then get a good time bank. It's a repeat of Paris, where they suddenly win in that time bank. And that world is just so apparent. However, you have a case where Even by this clip, Patapan going off on the Genji, which he did so on multiple parts of this map. A, B, and C, all 3 points. This play as well, which Hingy just misses, I believe, the flashbang. And yeah, you do see...
No, that was Kenmo Hororo flying into Bashful's face. Also got demech for that. I'm not even sure. Maybe he did just miss.
Could have been a long-range defense matrix from Kagura from a longer distance. Not going to have that on the current patch anymore, sadly. But on this current patch for, I guess, Contenders, it's possible.
Now Talon on the defense once again. Only a minute for Jupiter. It took them more than a minute first time around, so they'll need to speed things up a little bit.
Even if Jupiter cap here, it might not be enough. Jupiter would need to cap and get a decent amount of distance on B. Potentially even cap B, because with 4 minutes and 30 on Talon's side, it's just too much time to work within the time bank.
Oh, I like the wraparound collapse here. Finds Sabagot early, takes Jupiter by surprise. No counter trades, Zer will go down, and that just wiped half the clock off.
Preventing the back cap as well, making sure there's not going to be any of those shenanigans in. And not only does this wipe half the time off the clock for Jupiter, but also starts to get this ultimate engine rolling for Talon.
Jupiter swapping too.
Getting this ultimate engine rolling is going to be important in terms of having some sort of advantage in this next and final fight.
Jupiter got a lot of work to do on these fresh heroes. It's all going to be on pick potential. Talon have slightly more of it. Coalescence will probably be the first ultimate available for Mango Jai.
It's a good and bad matchup for Jupiter because you still have to deal with the Pharah and no one can touch the Pharah.
Oh, that's a tough rotation. Claire barely stays alive. Zer might not be so lucky. Now they hold up in this room, but they have to keep boots on the ground. Nice bump out on Zer. Keep the pressure on. Ken Mohororo has to take the aggro for a second.
Ultimate's coming.
Super low. Mango Jai's got Coalescence. They can just dump it into this room on all these members of Jupiter. They either walk right into it or they are not on the point. Jupiter now in a massive self-destruct with the EMP, and that's going to be all she wrote for their options on this offense. No one left alive as Ken Mohororo goes down, will not even successfully remech, and now only a third required here for Talon.
And Gagoro's playing mini-golf here, where the hole is just one big door. You can't even miss that one. Just push the self-destruct right in, triple kill.
Mega golf.
Hole in one. No way. I mean, it's just unfortunate for Jupiter being in that kind of position where they got... killed in the first wraparound play, defense by Talon, then swapped onto Orion Goats, and in some ways you might have preferred the Winston Goats, but there was no easy option. No matter what they did there, it was going to be hard, which is, by the way, how most of Talon's own defense, particularly on C, looked like anyway. So Jupiter kind of did that to Talon. Talon doing that back to Jupiter in a much more crucial time in this particular map, on that time back. 30 seconds, I would say 40 seconds even gone. By the time that Jupiter actually went to the point, they couldn't make a long rotation happen. They had to hide in a room, had to touch the point also because the overtime was ticking down. Talon had an ult advantage. Everything was going Talon's way, and they had the game in the palm of their hands.
4.5 minutes for just one tick. I mean, it's more than what you get in your main phase. It should be more than enough. They capped off their first push in that point anyway. And now, best case scenario for Jupiter is actually a tie. Again, a tie would be far more than what most teams get against Talon. Jupiter, still the only team to take a map off them, so maybe they can do even more than that, but you do expect Talon to just start taking it out here, bring us to match point.
Based on the fact that Talon finished the entire map in 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you'd expect them to be able to finish at least a one tick in a very quick amount of time, and most teams, like Nambani time banks are not huge, so 4:30 is absolutely disgusting. Talon really should not be losing this at all.
Certainly not. But, I mean, let's not rule it out. Jupiter back on the DPSs as well. This has where they've found success, rather.
By the way, playing the Widow this time on the defense, it is still relatively risky because Talon can just choose not to run the pharmacy, which they're absolutely doing. And, I mean, you can still snipe CQB because he's playing a Mercy who's pocketing I don't even know who, to be honest.
It's actually Bashful receiving a nano boost from Mango Jai. And Muse has been like almost perma-slept, it feels like. He's barely seen any action. Jupiter have kept a lot of members of Talon low as this dive comes in. It slowly starts to backfire. Gagora now going to get demeched. Bashful picked as well. It's this first go around for Talon. Does not quite work out. Jupiter have charged up ultimates.
And now it's about playing for the long game, because Talon don't need a perfect run through on A. They don't need to take it in one attempt. It'd be nice to. But it'd be nice to just finish the map in general. So what they are really looking for at the end of the day is some sort of setup where they eventually, even if it's overtime, they're going to win. EMP available for Jupiter. In fact, 5 ultimates available for Jupiter, nearly 6 is a very big lead. Talon will probably need to go for a bit of a dry push to empty out some of this ultimate bank, and then Jupiter will have less to work with for a subsequent fight.
No one can hide from Hengi's sights. That includes you, Patapan. That's a nice biotic grenade, and that's as Talon made their approach. They are on the point, though, and that means Jupiter do have to get boots on it themselves. They will do so with an EMP and a rocket barrage, but Amica needs to hack partway through, and suddenly Talon's DPSs just start firing on all cylinders. Patapan, rather it's bashful on the Genji, gets aggressive, finds Zerf, finds Savag onto the back line, Rez on
that might be enough kills.
Trunk at the fight. It is almost certainly enough kills, with Zerf being the only one left. Claire ends up pulling out the pistol just to try and get something done, because it is only him left on the point now, alongside, I believe it is Savagod, but tell you what, whoever it is, it's not for long. And there it is, the third for Talon. They bring us to match point.
It's one of those cases where you knocked on the office of Talon and said, sorry, out for lunch for 5 minutes. Now they're back. They're actually back in the game now. They walked away for a little bit. Someone might have nicked a sandwich there and they lost a map in the middle. But at the end of the day, it's 2-1 currently. Map 4, you're expecting to go similar to how Numbani went. And Jupiter, it's a nice dream. They did get that one map. We talk about the tax being there. No one avoids it. However, don't know if Jupiter still have what it takes to finish the series anymore.
I've never seen someone actually only take 5 minutes to have lunch. Like, you put the 5-minute sign up, but like you could be gone for like half an hour or more.
Someone rubbed out the 0. It's actually 50.
Yeah, it's a bull.
Or they rubbed out the 1 of this. So it's actually 15. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like I'm just being lied to by a lot of small business owners. But I mean, yeah. Look, Talon, they're back in the shop front. You know, we're back in business. And assume that I saw that analogy through to its conclusion. Match point for Talon.
Really want to talk about this small business, but I'm not going to. That's just.
We'll start it one day.
It's a funny one.
It's a pipe dream.
The two of us, but
I reckon we'd make good florists, personally.
But now
you could become a monk, and I could become a florist. We could call ourselves the Florist Friars.
I don't even get it.
Forest Fires.
Oh.
Yeah, now it's not as funny because I had to explain it.
No, I don't. I don't find you funny anyway. No. Jupiter. I don't know what else to say. It looked at that game. Numbani looked like how you expect the series to look, and they still took it to time back, which is, by the way, extremely good. They've taken time back twice, won one of them, lost one of them as you'd expect.
It feels
but the fact that they get there is incredible,
right? But it feels like what we should have seen is like maybe just a close series where Talon still complete the 4-0, and like we're not in that world anymore, but we're not in the world where it's still realistic for Jupiter to win. So I don't know where we really are, except for
3-1 is where we're in, to be fair.
Yeah, 2-1 for now, and yeah, likely 3-1. We go to Rialto next. We've already seen what Talon can do in possession of a payload. Again, it's on Jupiter to measure up to that, I would say.
Like Talon were generous today, did a bit of a blood donation, and now that's enough. Don't want to black out. 3-1 is still.
Have you ever given blood?
Gonna have to be.
I never have.
Not for a good cause, but
only for dubious causes.
That one. So, yeah, hit me up some blood on the black mark. No.
Where is this conversation going?
But yeah, look, I don't know, Talon the Merciful, Talon the Generous. That's what you can call them at this stage for donating one map over.
Is that like a relation to Ellen DeGeneres, or?
Talon the... I see how it works.
Yeah, right.
But
I like to imagine that that's like it's a title. It's not her surname. It's like I'm Ellen the Generous, but it just got misheard.
She's also quite generous. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know. I like it when things like that get misheard. Like the band Foster the People. The frontman is called David Foster, and it was Foster and the People, like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, or any other band to that with that naming convention, but. Radios just kept not saying it right, or like they said it too fast to be like, Foster the People, and then people would just call up like, yeah, I'd like to hear that song by Foster the People. So they were like, well, if that's what everyone calls us, I guess we better change our name to that. It's like how the Netherlands is called the Netherlands, but on their tourism website, they call themselves Holland, because that's what everyone else calls them. They're like, we might as well. It's all right. I don't mind really. It's okay. As long as you come to visit.
Foster the People is much less pretentious.
I'd like to listen to that band, Foster the People. I know, it sounds nice. It sounds wholesome. Somehow.
Rather than just one guy.
Foster and the People. It's like, don't even give them a title. No. At least Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, the other guys were Miracles. That's a pretty lofty title to get.
It's like Adam Levine and the Maroon 5. I don't know.
Yeah, Adam Levine and the other 4 of them.
Or like the Pussycat Dolls. It was just Nicole Scherzinger and a lot of backup dancers. This is it. This is it. We're just going to descend into a rant about like mid-2000s.
I mean, this is AVRL and his co-casters. I know.
AVRL and the other guy.
Oh, dear. I don't know.
I'm going to drink my tea and make you have to talk now.
There's not a lot to say about Rialto. Really, that now you're in the space where
we're going to
Talon have put things back in order as they were expected to be. They didn't get the stomp. They can still make the last two maps.
Yeah, right. Maybe
Rialto could still be a stomp.
I'm gonna give Jupiter the benefit of the doubt here, right? We came close on Ilios. They got the win on Parish. They also went to time bank on Nabani. I do think Talon looked better, but I'm gonna say there is still a world where Jupiter win this. Like there is still a world where we go to game 5.
I can tell you exactly what that world is right now. That is where you go into a Hengi and Amma can play the best game of their life, hit every single shot. And for whatever reason, Talon can't deal with both Anakin and Hengi on A point. A full hold on A is completed, and then Jupiter just cap A. That would be, in my opinion, that would be the only world for Jupiter to take us to at map 5. We'll see if they can prove that to be the current world, or if that's going to just be.
Are we on Rialto 616, or are we somewhere else entirely?
Everyone in the Rialto 616, put your hands up.
It is Jupiter obviously starting on the defense, and we'll have to see if Anakin and Hengi play the game of their lives. They're going to lean into a bunker composition, and I like what they've been able to accomplish with the Roadhog.
So they're not actually playing the fire here, so that's the first interesting thing you have to note. For Talon, how do they want to change up? Because you already had a few members still deciding here. Muse now finally on the Orisa Mangoes on the Hog, so they keep that Orisa Hog combo going. 3 tanks, solo healer, and the Shimada Bros.
Yeah, both of them in the same place. I feel like we haven't seen that for a long time. Usually it's been a third DPS. Not a third brother, though. Jeff Shimada.
Agora's sleeping here as well. Not for too long. Talon have a decent lead. Patapan's in a lot of trouble.
That was an ambitious deflect from Patapan. Standing out in the middle of no man's land like, I can't shoot me, and then everyone just waits for it to end.
Why can't I deflect all these bullets, he asks. We'll see what happens now. Man,
nice hook. So 1 for 1 now with Talon having the closer respawn anyway. So they are at a numbers advantage as they push into the courtyard. So it's not quite the game of their lives yet. I say that as Hengi finds himself a headshot, but they need to find a hell of a lot more. And speaking of ambitious, that's an ambitious self-heal from Ken Mahororo. Mango Jai staying alive is very critical here.
I did say Anakin needed to play the fire here, but this does scale better into B and C, so they are kind of playing for the long game. That does mean they won't necessarily be able to hold A, especially because they're quite far behind right now. They have no control in the cart. They need to touch this.
Oh, Hengi goes down. It's a trade with Patapan, but they have to start, like you said, making that charge towards the cart, and that puts Zer in a bit of an uncomfortable position. Anakin as well, he kind of has to do all the damage himself, and he's vulnerable to hooks. You see that one come through, and now Mango Jai with the whole hog. Even if it doesn't get kills, it will push members away from this point. No such luck for Zer. He can fortify, but Claire goes down fishing for the res on Anakin. Anakin's really going to have to make that count for something.
Dragon Strike
is looking like Talon's point.
Dragon Strike is going to buy a bit of time here, but Talon are not just going to walk away. They're going to take Anakin down. They still have point control, and it's Jupiter still struggling. What happens with the Bionade, though? That could change some things.
It does. Mango Giant Muse ate it, and Gagor ends up getting demexed, so now there's a little bit less tank presence, but there's far less for Jupiter with Zer down. Ken Mahororo solo tanking here, ends up going down himself on the side. And it felt like Talon had mostly controlled that fight. There was just a few wrinkles to iron out in the form of Zer's presence. With that gone, they cap.
I would love to know how many hooks Mango's hit so far, because it feels like easily more than 50%. It feels like maybe 3 out of 4.
He's hit at least 2. I can confirm that.
He's hit even more than 2. I've seen definitely more than 2.
Like maybe
we talked about Jupiter not being able to get to the card on time. Mango Joe's like, well, I'll help you get to the card on time, like also killing you after I hook you. And now Patapan's on the Widow, and well, we know what happens.
That's what they call him, Pop Patapan. That's not what they call him. I just made that up. Don't call him that. That was terrible, and I regret it. And now Patapan's dead.
And
so
it's your fault.
though.
It is your fault.
It is completely my fault. I gave him a bad nickname, and I doomed him.
Talon still have members up though. Outside of Patapan, who went down and is back up alive. They still have 2 ultimates, 3, 4, 5, nearly coming online. Point control easily in their favor. Jupiter still just regrouping together, attempting to touch this position.
It's going to be the Valkyrie pop from CQB.
Cap went over
there, and that's really rough. They're a little bit slow to the play here, and now Zer's cut off from his team by way of Dragon Strike. may still be able to get back to them. Nice catch on Bashful. They decide to stick in this. I think they were half expecting Zer to retreat. He does go down, but not before Jupiter have already picked up 2 members. And Anakin able to get out of the line of sight of that one. They didn't quite finish off Gogora, though. That would have been a little bit nicer. But now Kenma Haro with the wrap-around fight. Hooks back and forth, right? It's like you almost want there to be another guy with a hook just to get... what's his name?
Yeah,
Mango Jai after that.
The 6v6 Roadhog only service, what you're talking about here. Jupiter now going to make a couple of swaps. Sabagod's like, I can do this too. He's going to go onto the Hog. Unless he was already there. No, I don't think he was. It was Kemba Horo playing the Hog previously. Anyway, Talon
keeping the Hog in.
Walking forward now. Supercharger down as well. You can see the damage.
Call him Sabahog. It's going to be a Dragon Strike across. Just displaces some members a little bit. Talon, they aren't going to get too wounded from it, so they're ready to make this approach still. Nice catch on Ken Mahororo. That's also a whole Hog pushing in now from Mango Jai, and Jupiter haven't really made any counter trades as of yet and aren't looking likely to make any at this rate.
Mango's going insane. This has been his map to just completely destroy so far. Even if he gets hooked in, he just kills his counterpart. This is now
I love it.
A second insane time back. Numbani, we saw 4:30, which is a 3-minute 30 to complete the whole map. This time around for Rialto, that's going to be something close. I mean, 3:29. Yeah, look, something close.
For Rialto.
It is nuts for Rialto because no one finishes that quickly usually. You have to be destroying your opponent to have this kind of time back available.
It's like Talon lost a map, so they're trying to make up for it by winning each map after that harder.
Yeah.
Like each and every time. I'm also just loving the sheer number of Roadhogs. There's something very... yeah, that's the most you're going to get in a... I mean, yes, that's...
Yes.
It's the ideal number. I just love
0,
the sheer
1,
amount.
or 2.
I find the yoink is very visceral. It's the opposite of yeet. Equally fast in opposite directions.
One of the nicknames, I don't use this one, but I know the community does. They for Halt Hook, they say oink and yoink.
That is brilliant. I wish I knew of that earlier. I want that on a t-shirt.
I mean, you can make your own t-shirts these days.
I can. I never do. I say that a lot. I'm like, I want that on a t-shirt, but I never make my dreams become reality.
There's a few other funny names out there. I'm trying to think of all of them.
I'm a little proud of Bash Bang. You got the Brigade and you got a McCree, just the crowd control option.
I don't know if we came up with that, but I like to imagine we did. I don't think we did, but
I hadn't
heard of it before.
I hadn't heard it before I said it, but like someone else might have independently arrived at the same conclusion.
The thing is, even if we did, someone will just take it and steal it anyway.
Yeah.
Such is life.
Someone in NA or EU is going to claim they invented it.
I'm just sad.
Yeah.
Talon Esports, equally sad in some cases. Probably still will get the 3-1. 4-0 no longer possible. You know something's up, by the way, if you're Jupiter right now, you don't see any defenders.
Yeah. It's like Chuck Norris, right? When you can see him, as dangerous. When you can't see him, you're seconds away from death.
What this also does mean, because the Gambit didn't play out for Talon hiding, they're now in a really awkward spot for actually trying to defend. They're going to rush in, but no one's going to be able to deal with Anakin.
Zer getting buffeted about. Feels like he's surely going to go down. He's had Claire in the pocket for so long, but just a brief second where he's out of pocket, suddenly Zer is down and out for the count, and Talon now looking for more. Anakin taking some pressure. No one's dead just yet, but it feels like it's only a matter of time.
Huge headshot onto Patapan. It's going to take him out of commission for the time being.
As a rocket barrage ends up angling it around to toss it onto Mango Giant, it ends up working. He does not have the dash available when he's running that coalescence, and with that, Jupiter have found themselves an opening.
You got to say, Jupiter might not have as much time to work with as Talon, but based on how this is going so far, and yes, there are a decent amount of slowdowns that Talon has forced against Jupiter, but all the ultimates are going in the way of Jupiter. The cart push is definitely in their favor now. Talon have to respawn. Gogora has to actually reset with his own team, and he is being way staggered and BM'd by good old Hengi. In fact, it would have been amazing if Hengi died for that, because that would have been just like punishment for bad manners.
That would have been the funniest thing to happen this season. And, ooh, they're able to avoid being in the drink. CQB skates its way up and Muse takes a lead. Mango Jai still going to go down, though, so it's still an advantageous position for Jupiter with that disruption they've been able to call so far. CQB down, Muse on the retreat, and it feels like it's all over but the crying in terms of this point. It's going to go the way of Jupiter.
And this is going to get competitive now, because honestly, Jupiter's time is still somewhat comparable to Talon's look. It's not as insane, but because they have a lot of time remaining, this is now a quite a large amount of momentum. Talon's had to reset compositions as well. You note that they had to change a decent amount of heroes just to try and get something done. Patapan in particular, he's on 55, but he will go down.
Staggered.
Talon just not able to dig their feet in yet.
And he got Ken Mahororo. He's actually not swapping. He committed the Dragon Strike quite late in the fight to help secure it. I wondered if he may swap. It would have been, I think, a poor choice, but now they just have one ultimate less, it feels.
It's still a really awkward composition. You'd like to see Bashful maybe make some sort of swap here. The Brigida, I don't feel has as much value unless Talon are constantly dogpiling, which they might be able to do now if Patapan gets quite aggressive. That is 6v5.
It's going to be a nice aggress in. 2 kills first going the way of Patapan and Bashful. Call that the new Pokemon game, Sword and Shield. That's Talon getting a pretty clean fight, all things considered, just kind of walking over Jupiter.
Talon finally got that defense, and that's the first big reset. We'll see if Jupiter want to make some changes. We're not quite in the space yet where Vara just can't be run. For this first corner, it's still relatively useful. Talon actually have a decent amount to work with because they didn't have much ults before. Now they're looking at nearly all 6.
Able to get back to some healers, but nearly in trouble there. If Anakin had a slightly tidier line, they might have been able to get the final shot, but they're still able to find one onto Bashful. Hengi has that sight line just barely, and now moving up to take a much better sight line.
Blade coming in.
That's also with the Coalescence laid on top, and this is what Talon have. They've got ultimates to lean into, so more than happy to dispense them out so that they can collect a few more kills on Jupiter, burn down more time, and just make things hard.
And I'll see this is a decent turnaround from, okay, they lost Bashful, they nearly lost Gagora. I'll say for Gagora at least, he kind of sacrificed to the self-destructor remix, so that's kind of like a free life for him. Bashful can't really do the same, so he just becomes a player deficit for Talon, who then gets made up for by the fact that Patapan blades in, Talon go in, Coalescence gets the job done too. Jupiter now are losing enough time that it will be pretty unlikely for them to finish the whole map. Although to honestly do that twice in a row in time back would be nuts.
That Dragon Strike is just straight to the ground, unfortunately, and that Rocket Barrage gets eaten and then deflected. That's an ouch in the face. Jupiter getting nothing done, and it's starting to feel like normalcy has been restored. Talon are looking very dominant here. I suppose, in retrospect, Jupiter just collected their one-map tax.
And I think, you know, if anywhere you would get an ouch, I wouldn't want one in the face because that would hurt.
That's Jupiter. The worst place to get an ouch. Second worst.
Second, yeah. We both just realized where the worst would be.
Hold on a second.
Jupiter, now, I don't know, they got their tax and
Anakin finds another one as they start to push back out, but Patapan is still hampering this regroup here. Talon on the cusp of overextending, but they're still dishing out so much damage as they retreat, and I like the self-destruct to help cover it in this wide open space. It doesn't get kills, but it means Jupiter have to slow down, and Talon decide to push back in with this Coalescence.
So this could be risky, because Muse is nearly down. Patapan has got to make it for a lot here, and hasn't found a kill or a reset.
Oh, I think that was a bit of an over-ambitious one. They do pull back to the cart, but they end up just tossing a lot of ultimates in, the self-destruct, the Coalescence, and the Dragon Blade, and Jupiter are still marching back towards this cart, back towards this fight.
This is a big loss.
With a numbers advantage.
This is where you can start to lose this point, because now Jupiter have a big player advantage. Talon way overstepped, and that's the risk you take if you're trying to do a spawn hold. Got too aggressive there, too confident. Patapan, unfortunately, went for the wrong target. If you got Hengi down, great, you're going to pop off. If you don't kill him because he translocates, you're now stuck in the middle of nowhere. Jupiter have by and far taking control of the point now, have an EMP to play with, and Talon are just going to be victim to this.
I suppose you could say triumphant pride precipitates the dizzying fall. That's going to be Talon now trying to re-enter with the Primal Rage. It's a decent layer up of ultimates. Gagora is going to get demexed. That's an opening. It's expensive for Jupiter so far, though. Talon haven't lost anyone else. Gagora's also not died just yet. Now they've got Sound Barrier to give them some legs in the fight. Clear matches. Zer's coming up on a Primal Rage as well, so there's still tools available for Jupiter here, but they do need to get the kills to make it count for something. Starting to get aggressive once again. Pushing members away from the cart is nice. Muse should go down indeed well. Gagora does not get the hero self-destruct. We are into that overtime. But Jupiter are looking healthy in this fight. If they can just pick up a few more members, it's closer respawns for Talon though, so they need to be careful. Kenma Hororo was slept there. Anakin got low and Zer was picked off. That's a second EMP
Patapan has
now
to stay alive.
for Hengi. Patapan is the critical one. Has to be able to get this grab off as well. There's the coalescence from Savagod. The grab finally in from Patapan, but I don't think there's many members to follow up on it. Muse even not able to get it done. Shatter out. Can they make it work? CQB's got a second sound barrier, and it looks like Talon, maybe when they dig deep, they have slightly deeper pockets, but Jupiter, how is this fight not resolved?
Have they got the deeper pockets? I feel like they're now looking for Lint, and that might not even save them anymore. Kagura doesn't even get to remake. This will be a cap. I'm sure of it now.
I'm not sure of it, but it does seem like Jupiter have managed to get the members back in. I don't know, maybe they just find a button. You'll buy a bit of offense with that. Anakin resetting onto the Doomfist has helped out.
It's a lot of Lint
as well. It's a lot of squishy members too, but the cap's still not come through, man. All bets are off, right?
Anakin's coming in, Bashful's coming in.
It's like, you know what, dude?
Another EMP.
That's the third one of this fight from Hengi, by the way. That is how long this fight has gone on for.
Patapan.
And CQB might be coming up on his third sound barrier as well. That's the second grab for Patapan. Gagora gets two with the self-destruct. The first one was not the hero self-destruct they needed, but the second one is, and Bashful slam dunks. Talon will complete that fight.
And inside that pocket of Lint was a big haystack. Don't ask me how a stack of hay got in there.
Pearl. You could have just...
And inside that haystack was still Pearl. I was going to say needle, but you know I like the Pearl better.
Pearl in a haystack, a classic
and
story.
what is... I don't know how a Pearl gets you a win, but I don't know, it's shiny, so...
It's nice.
And nice is...
Ooh.
Nice is great. Nice.
Nice is great. I want that on a t-shirt. That's going to be a nice 3-1 for Talon. Certainly not the nicest kind of result. This was the near punch from Hengi.
Is it a nice result?
No, it's not. You wanted to get the perfect season, but look, you'll gladly take an undefeated season in terms of match record, right? And that's still on track for that. What really counts at the end of the day is that Talon are the strongest team in the region, because that's the fact that will get them the win. It would be their third win in the Pacific region in Contenders. It would also be the one that earns them the spot at Gauntlet. And like we say, they're the team that went to Pacific Showdown. They're the team that was able to earn Pacific that spot at Gauntlet. They want to be the ones to claim it for themselves as well. They are still on track to do that.
Let's talk about the undefeated though. 6-0 now is still a very good scoreline. I mean, that we already said at 5-0, 20 plus. They weren't going to be able to be knocked down at 6-0, 23 plus. That's still extremely good. And yeah, they'll have one blemish going into playoffs. Now, they might go undefeated in playoffs. Depending on how the rest of the season goes, if teams get more competitive, they get more, if things get a bit closer here, who knows? Maybe Talon drop another map somewhere down the line. I would say that the pressure of maintaining a completely lossless record is off their shoulders, because that is extra added pressure. No team wants the extra pressure of, oh, we're not allowed to lose a map here. Yeah. Because now that you can just play, I would say more comfortably in the sense of like, let's just play our game, let's just win. Don't have to care about some, arbitrary 35-0 record. It's like, win, go to Gauntlet, do what you got to do, and do it well. That's it. You don't need to have crazy expectations from crazy guys like us looming over your shoulders anymore.
We're just absolutely manic. We're like strict parents. Like, did you go undefeated this season? No Xbox for you. They don't play on console though, so that doesn't matter. But in all seriousness, yes, look, it takes a bit of that weight off, and as they say, the worst win in the world is still a win. And